So I was running two payment processors just to serve local and international customers, but now I run just one. And in this video, I'm going to show you how I migrated from using Paystack and Polar payments to using a service called Bachs. Let's dive right into the video. Alright, so for those that are seeing my channel or this video for this first time, I'm going to give you a little backstory before I show you how I implemented the new payment system that I'm currently using on my product called SubTrack. So as you can see right here, I was using Paystack and Polar payments. So basically, SubTrack is a tool that lets you keep track and manage your subscriptions so you don't get charged beforehand. And I added some features that required you to pay a one-time fee. So the features are email reminder before every renewal, push notification on your phone, and if you're not using it, we'll flag it as cancel payment before the exact date so that you don't have to pay again. So I tend on adding more and more features. So if you subscribe now, you have literally nothing to lose because I'll keep on adding more features to it as I use it. And again, you can suggest more features as well. So I was using Paystack, but the issue with Paystack is that it's mostly for African and Nigeria payment. So when it comes to international payment, Paystack is not that good. And to be honest, again, I still had some issues with their user experience and UI in general. So what I had to then do was to migrate to a service called Polar. I'm very sure most of you know about Polar. So Polar is for international payments. You can use it to do international payments. And if you are building product like a SaaS application or a digital product, you can use Polar as a payment option. So that was why I just set up two systems where, okay, if you're in Nigeria, you can just pay the sum of 5,000 naira. Then if you are um, making payment from outside Nigeria, you can pay the equivalent of 5,000. So these were the two options I was using. And also I had to like do double setup. So I had a webhook for Paystack for my Paystack dashboard. I also have a webhook for Polar dashboard. So I was kind of finding it hard to, I don't want to log in right now though, but I'm currently logged in on my Polar dashboard. I was finding it hard to manage both the webhooks for each of them. So what I just did was to look for another service, or rather the service looked for me. So I was scrolling through X and I saw this new payment gateway called Bachs. And to be very honest, I think I have found the Stripe alternative for Africans or Nigerians. So these guys are literally they literally understand what developers want and they went ahead to build it. So they are not sponsoring this video. I hope they will in the future, but they are not sponsoring it right now. I've used the product to some extent and I really like the developer experience. So enough of me yapping so much about them. Let me just show you how it's working. So if I go to my local host, I didn't push to production yet because I wanted to make a video on the two distinctions. So right here, I haven't even added the dollar sign. So I set the default currency to dollars so that anybody can is accepted. I don't want to set it to naira, but you can also pay in naira. That's the cool part. So if I click on upgrade to pro now, you will see that I've been directed to this sandbox environment, which is like a testing phase. And this entire transaction is going to expire in about 59 minutes and some seconds. So this is the SubTrack Pro right here. And you can see pay in USD. But now if I click on the drop down, you can see I can pay in what? In Naira, I can pay in Ghana cedis, and I can pay in other currencies. And they're also adding more currencies as well. So let me just leave it to the default on USD. And I can also like come here and pay with my card. Or which is the cool part, I can pay with crypto as well if I want to. Again, let's just quickly pay with card. I'll just say pay now. Alright, so my network just went off. I really don't know why, but I'm going to run it again. So I'll click on pay now. Okay, see that payment has been successful and we're going to be redirected to a new points right here. So, all right, so the payment was successful. If I go to my dashboard now, you can see the whole stuff went through here, but I'm having this error that says that the host which I'm currently using, reckless screen at 3, is not allowed. So what I will do is I'll quickly take a screenshot of this and paste it to cloud code, and we'll say please fix this issue. So while it's doing that, I just want to talk about a little thing I noticed about using Bachs. And again, I think is a good thing on their end, but for development, it's not really like, it's kind of bugs me a little bit. So, if I used Paystack or Polar or Stripe, I would have been directed to like back to my local host right here. But there's something I read. So let me come to migrate. During the migration, it says that Paystack and Polar does not validate redirect URL, but Batch validates it server side. So if you're using the local host, the payment is never going to go through. So it's going to fail. You're not going to get to this part. So you need to expose your local host or your local development to another service. So you can use ngrok. Me, I'm currently using a service called Artfree. So that's what I'm using right now. So what I will do is now it has been added. So what I will just do, let me try and refresh again. All right, you can see that it's not going to open because the endpoint is just invalid. So what I will just do is I'm going to just go back to my local host, and you will see that I've been upgraded to a pro account right here. So what I will do also is, let's go back to the batch payment before I show you how what is happening in the code, and I will quickly just log in. All right, so you can see my dashboard, and within the last 30 days I've made a revenue of $15. So the one of today, let me just see if I can get today's one. It's going to just show $10. So I've tried it twice, that's why I'm showing $10. And also I get the gross volume and all. All right, if I go back to my dashboard, the very first thing you need to do is to create an account. So once you create an account, it's going to prompt you to enter some details. And if you want to go to production, you're going to submit some details like your NIN if you are Nigeria, on your driver's license or whatever. Then when you're done, it might prompt you to or direct you to the sandbox mode. But if it doesn't, just click on this right here. And this is the name I used. I used my agency name, but you can use whatever name you want. Then this part should be showing switch to sandbox. So mine is just, I'm in sandbox mode, that's why it's showing switch to live. So once you've done that, the next thing I did, since I am building a one-time product feature, so I went to products right here and I created a new product. So I just click on create new product and I entered the name, the description, if it's going to be a one-time purchase or if it's going to be reoccurring. So obviously it's a one-time purchase. I made the pricing model to be fixed. Then I added a fixed price, and this is what I really like about the patch. So right here I can set the default that okay, I want to make it to 5,000 naira. So by the time a user clicks on this stuff, maybe pay with something, I'm already pro user, so I can't see that again. But when they click on it, they will be directed to this checkout. But instead of saying dollars, they're going to say naira. But our advice, since USD is like the global accepted currency, just set yours to the exact value. So this is showing $5,000. So I'm just going to set it to something else. I'm not going to even use it at all. Then you can now add another currency. So if I click on that, I can select multiple currencies. So I can say okay, the Nigeria conversion should be like 5,000. So you can choose to do this and you can add more and more and more. So let me just go back. All right, so the next thing we need to do now, since we've created our product, is to click on it. Then we just need to copy this product ID right here because this is very, very, very important. So since we've copied this, I will head over to my developer portal right here and make sure you create a new API key. This part is quite straightforward. I take back my statement. It's not straightforward if you don't know how it works. So basically, you give it a name. They give you a default name. You can leave it as that. Then what you just need to do Is either give it full access, which I won't advise you do so. So basically, just select the process you want. So mine, it has to do with webhooks and products. So I think that's the one I selected. Let me see if I can close this one out and click on this. So if I click on mine, you'll see it right here. So read payment, write payment, payment again, write payment, and this first one was read payment method. So read webhooks, write webhooks. So you get the idea. So select the scope that fits what you want to do. After doing that, you need to create like a webhook as well. And again, this is another feature I like because using Paystack, you can only create just one webhook. So if you have multiple projects, I then needed to, as at that time when I was using it, I then needed to hook up to another service. I think they are called Hook Deck or something like that. So it was just in pain in the ass. Or using Batch, I can create multiple endpoints. So if I click on add endpoint, I'll just add my endpoint URL. And what I just did was I basically used my, if I go to my settings, you know what, instead of even checking that, let me just show you what I did rather. So if I click on mine, you should see it. So I'm using the converse.site. So which, if I go back here, is this one. So this HTTP stuff. So it's given to you by Converse. Just copy it and add the forward slash and add the whatever endpoint. So I called my batch webhook, but you can call yours anything you want. For the event, I selected a couple of them. What did I select again? Collection, failed collection, succeeded. And I think, yeah, that's it. Let me check if I added something else. So it was just these two, collection paid and collection succeeded. You can add multiple if you want to. After doing that, the next thing you need to do is to go to VS Code. Then for me, I wrote my payment logic in this file called batch.ts. So if you don't know how Convex works, everything in Convex is code. So if you're using a service like Hono or Express, the approach is going to differ a little bit, but I believe it's still the same idea. It's just a different approach. So basically, we have a resolve based URL function that we are calling right here. So I think it's underneath. So you can see it right here. And I think we use it for the checkout as well. So the API key and your product key are going to add it to your environmental variable. So for mine, I added it to, if I go to my environmental variables, I'm not going to show you obviously, but I added it to mine. I called it batch product ID and batch site URL. So once you've added it, the site URL is the batch site URL, which is this one right here. And while we're here, let's just change it to local. So, and what am I doing? So let me copy this again. And if you go back, we can rename this one to localhost. Save. Get rid of this backslash. So save. All right. And while we are there, I added the batch variable secret as well, which we copied. So let me quickly clear out my pro feature. And don't worry, I'm in the development environment. It doesn't affect the production. So yeah, we can now upgrade again. So before we do that, I basically just added their endpoints right here, which is checkout sections. So make a post request, and it needs an authorization key, which is the API key, and we're passing some things to the body. So things like the product card, and the product card needs the product ID and the quantity, and it's going to set to 1 because it's just one-time payment, and the customer's email, as well as the success URL, which is the site URL, which we changed to localhost right now. Then also, if I go back, we're just making some checks, and also if there's no response or the response is not okay through whatever error or fail to create checkout session. And then in Convex, we have something called actions. So actions basically are responsible for things that are third party related. So if you are working with a third party API, the method to use is called actions. But if you are working via within your database, it's either you're using a mutation or you're using a query. So that's what we use here. So action, and I'm using action ray again to get the product. And now the same thing, pass it here as well and authorize the API key and return the amount and currency. So if you pay attention to this resolve based URL function, you'll see that we added like a SK live. So what this means is that basically if we are on production, we are referencing these endpoints via our API key. So if we are on development, we are referencing this one. Then also we need to come to, if I go to my HTTP right here, and if I scooch down, you see this HTTP route. So this is to verify our webhook to make sure it's working. So after that, it's going to run this and validate it and check for the event type. So if it's succeeded, we are going to just grab the user ID, the payment reference, and just pass it to our users table right here. And basically it's an internal query, so it's just going to run internally, which is one thing I really like about Convex. So basically that's just all. And again, I just made a little change on the front end as well. So on the pro gate, we're just doing some checks right here. And again, if it's not pro, we basically just prompt the user to enter the price. So if I go back now to test it out, so let's come here and I click on upgrade to pro and I click on upgrade to pro again, you see that this is already failing. So if we check our log, so you see success URL must be a publicly accessible URL, localhost is not allowed. So this is a server-side check they added in batch. Fix to this is to use something else. Like in my case, I'm using archray, so you can use ngrock. You can even use the port on your port right here on your VS Code. So you can choose anyone. So I'm just going to go back to my settings and environmental variables, and we'll change this one to using the archray dev. And the funny thing is I didn't copy it. So what I'm going to do is open my terminal and see if I can get it from here. So this is it right here. So copy it and I'll open it. Okay, I'll paste it right here and I'll save. So if we try it again now, so I say upgrade to pro, it's going to redirect us to, I need to refresh my page first. Or let's try it one more time. So I'll say upgrade to pro. So we're still getting the same issue, and I think, okay, my bad, it's supposed to be an H right here. So if we save and I go back and try one more time, yeah, so you can see that it's opened and now we can make payments. But the downside is that, okay, if it's successful, like I click on pay now, I'm going to get a modal right here. It's going to show me a modal that payment successful, and if I allow this to redirect, it's not going to redirect to this endpoint that we've created, which is this one right here. But let's see. Okay, the cool part is redirected us to our home page, which is not bad, but at least we can now see something. So the best thing you can also do is to just click on this right here. So if you go back to your localhost, it's going to know that you made a payment and your details will be updated as well. Alright guys, so I don't want to make this video extremely long because I have a lot of content I want to create around using Batch. So they brought out a new feature called Connect, which allows you to make escrow payments and credits and stuff like that. So it's a very nice product, like I said, and you also turn on your notifications and hit the subscribe button if you haven't. If you want to get more videos of me using different features about it, and also if you have any question, you can leave it in the description. If you also have any video you want me to make about this particular product, also leave it in the description. And lastly, you should head over to getsubtrack.xyz in order for you to track your subscription. And know if you're seeing this model right now in production, by the time you're watching this video, this would have been updated to using the batch payment. Alright guys, I'll see you in the next video. Stay blessed.